Well, thank you very much for coming, and welcome to the December ONS Scrutiny Committee. And I'd like to welcome you all to it. I'm standing in as chairman this meeting because our chairman is on paternity leave, so that's Charlie Homer. So he's got apologies from me. And I will ask Spencer if we've got any other apologies.
Yes, so we've got apologies from Councillors Homer, Herdman, Grady and Wilkins, and also from Councillor Duffy, for whom Adrian Harman is substitute.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Adrian. So we've done the apologies. Now, next section is declarations of interest. Has anybody got any declarations of interest in relation to the agenda tonight? I see none. I hope the members of the committee have received the minutes of the previous meeting held on October. Has anybody got any points they want to raise on those minutes? If not, can I have a proposer and a seconder? Ooh, okay, I'll go for Andrew Crump as the proposer and John Clatworthy as the seconder for those minutes, and I'll take those as correct. Thank you. Do we have any questions from members of the public, Spencer?
No questions, Chair.
Thank you. Well, moving swiftly on to revenues and benefits update. Michelle, would you like to take us through those, please? Thank you.
I will indeed. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so I'm Michelle Alcock, I'm Head of Revenues and Benefits, and I've got Simon Hodges with me. He's one of my revenues managers. So I'm just going to bring to life the report shared with you on the 26th of November. Okay, so obviously represent the South Worcestershire Partnership, and we have been through quite a... Is that better? Is that better? Yeah? No problem at all. So just wanted to give you a brief update on the journey that we've been on, following, and again just highlighting in the report, the transition and the journey that we've been on since we returned from Civica. So we had gone through quite a journey with a software change, and that quickly escalated into something bigger. It was a TUPE transfer back to the local authority. We've got the software change, TUPE transfer, back to the local authorities, and within that was a major structural change to the establishment. So we had 77 staff plus myself going through a massive transition. And as we know, everyone handles change very differently. So took it in our stride, we adjusted, we put within new roles.
Sorry, just for ignorance and clarification, can I ask you what TUPE stands for, please?
So TUPE transfer is the transfer of our terms and conditions back to the local authorities. Does that, yeah? Okay, so we had new responsibilities. I became Head of Revenues and Benefits, and we created a new team structure. During that time, we had many challenges during that. So we had to look at what we could change and adapt and enhance our journey for our residents. So the challenge was we had new software, we had a massive backlog, and obviously this had a ripple effect to our residents' expectation. We had increased contact, and for 9 months we had no recovery on our council tax. So as you can imagine, residents assumed that, you know, debt had disappeared. Add in the recovery of COVID and the cost of living crisis, that you know, we had quite a lot on our hands to deal with. So what did we do? What did we change? So we had to re-look at our focus. We had to adapt. We had to stop and assess what we were doing and what we could change for our residents. So obviously we came back with new budgets and obviously a way of looking at our expenditure. How did we drive efficiencies and how did we improve our communication and improving the overall resident journey for any contact with us? So that's a little bit of history. We also went back to the start. We looked at our processes, our procedures. Officers found their own way of working, so we had to make sure officers were working in consistent ways and working towards our new approach. We knew communication had to evolve. We had to make every single contact, every document, every engagement with our customers matter and ensure that we were obviously adhering and responding to all of those contacts and mapping out how we deal with that journey. And I mentioned before, coming back from Civica, our contracted out service, it actually did, for the first time in a long time, give us the freedom to actually explore new ideas. And we were no longer constrained by the governance of the contracted out service. So we really did see this as a huge opportunity, and I think I've listed those opportunities and the changes and the differences in the report. So what it did allow us to do, we started to network. We talked to our neighbouring councils, our any events, professional events that we could explore and use, and just to see, we went to market just to see exactly what other local authorities were doing and how they were delivering services more efficiently. So we brought all of those back. We have got much better looking at our data and what the data is driving us to do. And through that collaboration, we are working closely with third parties and actually enhancing the software that we have and delivering to our customers in a different way. So what I wanted to do is bring to life what we've actually been doing and just show you some of the things that we have been doing and what we have brought to life for our residents and our customers and how it is improving. Okay, so I think I said before, it gave us an opportunity coming back to the local authorities and to review all of our strategic priorities moving forward. And one of those priorities was not only reducing costs, but looking overall at our communications. And one of the largest costs on our budgets that is increasing year on year, and that is postal costs. So what we couldn't do, though, is look at those in isolation. So it had to be more of a holistic view and what else we could do to review everything as a whole. That included incoming communication and outgoing communications. So focusing on our incoming communication, we understood that our traditional 9 to 5 telephony service wasn't offering the best service all round. We had lost calls due to demand, but we also recognised that we had a change in customer behaviour. So we decided to reshape and introduce some new technology, opening new channels for our residents. So just want to show you some highlights of those, and this is Chip and our live chat. So we were the first revenues and benefits service up and down the country to introduce their very own chatbot, which obviously runs 24/7, answering more simple questions and guiding customers to the relevant sections of our website. We have live chat running in the afternoon, so we have a hybrid model. We answer calls all through the morning, and then we have a hybrid model running in the afternoon where our customers set their own time when they want to speak to us. They also give us all the information that they're requesting so that we are fully prepared when we speak to our residents, and we can then give them a full answer to their query. So we have that. It's what we call our hybrid model, and as I said, if customers wish to discuss the matter, then they can still do so by telephone live chat. But also with the live chat, we can be speaking to more than one customer at once, which is proving more and more efficient. And again, some of those that information is within the report. So, as I've just said, we then introduced a calendar booking system. So that's what runs in the afternoon, and this is splits up the day. So we have incoming calls and offering the outbound calls in the afternoon, and we've had really great response to that and satisfaction from our residents. So I think that's a little demonstration of our chatbot and live chat in action. This is what our telephone booking system looks like. So customer has total control of that, date, time, and then we ask for their information, and then we're fully equipped when we go back with a response. We've also redesigned the back of our bills. So again, making that much clearer, less information, directing to our websites, but obviously having the key information still on there. That's what it fully looked like. And then we've narrowed it down. And, I'll go back a slide. And put some QR codes on there, which replaces some of the outdated methods of communication. But that, again, that takes to the website and you get the full information. We're also working with third parties to deliver, I suppose, more opportunity for our residents to pay their council tax. So we offer now a campaign. We're using what we call it's a campaign where we're very aware that when we're texting or emailing out that it looks that it's not a scam, basically. So we're using technology that obviously makes it, well, it is coming from us, but makes it look genuine. And you can see some of that in action. So we're doing pre-reminders. So that gives our residents extra time and prompt to pay their bills, but also then contact us should they have any difficulties. And those communications again are proving invaluable to those. So we're offering those more and more on lots of our communications. Lots of changes that are happening, we will try and do that on an email or a campaign such as this, so it reaches our residents really quickly and timely. And again, by doing this as well, it's far quicker than, I suppose it's not old-fashioned, but it is the way the postal service is working now, where our customers would have had that reminder, and we would have guaranteed that reminder hitting the post and through their letterbox, probably within 7 days. We're now seeing reminders not getting to our customers, our residents, for up to 14 past, maybe even up to 21 days. So always delaying that contact. So that's the problems that we can find ourselves up against, that we think everything's gone out timely, but then it's in the hands of Royal Mail. Okay, so we're also looking, again, just in the report, we've also adapted, again, another method of identifying and designing our how we support our households, especially those vulnerable and in debt. So again, we're using some additional tools that help us and give us an oversee and a holistic view of those households that need more support and communication with us. So again, we're using a tool called Pathway, and that's helping us deliver alongside the Household Support Fund, and that's given us a holistic view of some of our customers and the debt that they're actually dealing with. And then lastly, we have introduced open banking, and again, that's a seamless, quick and efficient method of payment, so it gives an extra layer of payment facilities for our customers. Again, we're finding where most of our customers and residents, they pay by direct debit. That is not always the case now, and it's not always keen. So again, this is a really efficient way, and this is also linked to all of our communications. Okay. So the future for us, again, with lots of changes happening in revenues and benefits, the priorities for us are adding to some of the automation that we're already doing. So by that we mean, delivering on some of the simple tasks that my staff find themselves doing repetitively. So we hope to use our software to, some of the noise in some of the procedures that we will then free up our staff to talk to our customers, those most in need, those most vulnerable, and obviously, collect and continue to pay those vital services going out. We'd like to open a wider open banking, and that's Apple Pay, Google Pay. I don't know, if those in the room, if that is your preferred method of payment. And we're also looking at WhatsApp, because again, we know through customer behaviour that everyone is communicating, or lots of our residents are communicating now through WhatsApp and responding to that method. And our other challenge, and that is we would like to have e-billing as everyone's main way of having their bill delivered, and that is via email. Again, it's far more efficient, it's quicker, and delivery, again, we're not then tied to postal services. So we are currently just under the 50%, and we'd like to be over that moving forward. That is where we are at this point in time. We're still looking at efficiency and savings. Our team actually remains the same size, so nothing has actually changed in that regard. We've got a generic team, so we're able to move teams around where the pressure points are. And again, that is proving a really established model for us, especially moving forward with LGR. And again, just presenting anything that we can do that makes that delivery more efficient. Always lots to do, and that is our revenues and benefits service to date. So 3 years back within the local authorities, and we've done lots, I think. So.
Right. Thank you very much indeed, Michelle. Yes.
I wonder if I could just mention, Michelle and Simon were both with the authority before we went out to Civica, so they've been with Wychavon many years. I think for me, Simon more years, of course. So yeah, quite a while. But I think for me, we have a management board, so clearly the team work across, they're based here, but they work across our sales at Wychavon, Malvern and Worcester City. We have a management board, so it's the finance, it's me as finance director here, same at Malvern and same at Worcester City. But what we've found is, whereas previously if we'd have asked Civica, could you do something in a slightly different way, it would come with potentially a pound sign or a business case and be quite a lengthy process. We're quite fleet of foot now, and the sorts of things that have been done in a very short space of time following that change, and that change was instigated by Civica. Just to mention, we didn't ask to have, no offence to Michelle and Simon, we didn't ask to have them back. It was that Civica were pulling out of that market, so that was something that we did. We brought the team back in, and we feel, the management board feel, that it's worked really well in terms of where the team were and where they are now, particularly with the automation. So I just really wanted to mention that they've both been here a couple of years.
Yeah, we've been here a long time, and I have to say, back to Jane, I think the support from the management board as well has really helped, and we have made really good strategic decisions. So yeah, it's I don't think Simon and I ever left, but but yeah, no, it has been great to be back, and yeah, as I said, we've been challenged and made great decisions.
Thank you very much. Have we got any questions? Oh, we have. If we go for Councillor Andrew Crump and followed by Councillor Sims. Thank you. Angie.
Thank you. Hopefully these will be nice, straightforward ones. Apologies for not putting any in beforehand. We've sort of been quite busy with budget scrutiny. It's Jane again, you know. Just saying. Yeah, so this is something that happened with myself as well, so I just thought I'd just bring this forward. With the emailing of the bills, mine always goes to my junk file. It must be something that you're aware of. Is there any way that it cannot? Because I get thousands of things in the junk file and it gets missed. And when somebody said, oh, they've had the bill, I'm thinking, well, I haven't had mine. Mine's actually done a really weird thing where it's gone to my husband's email now instead. We have no idea why, but that's a different matter. But it's more the fact that it's gone to somebody's junk mail. That's my first one.
Yeah, that's something that we are aware of, because quite often when we do speak to customers, we would say, is it in your junk mail? But that is something that we'll raise with our provider to see if there is something that we can do about it.
Also, when you're doing your chatbots or whatever and talking to, I think that's fantastic. The stuff that you've done is amazing. And it, yeah, really great report tonight as well. So thank you for that. When people haven't paid, you're just sending out reminders to them whichever way. Do you make it clear to them the consequences? Because they're pretty severe, aren't they? And that's and rightly so. I'm not knocking the consequences, but is it made clear to them you haven't paid, so this is what's going to happen?
Simon can answer that. It is made very clear, but Simon can maybe go through a little bit of what we do.
Right hand side. Yes. I think that is the biggest challenge really, is for people to understand the implications if they don't pay, and that is something that we're working really hard on. That is one of the reasons why we've introduced using the technology to send soft reminders 7 days before the actual reminders are issued. What we did move towards was a model where we went for less is more on the documentation that we were sending out, so that people did get overwhelmed with all the information that was on the back of the documents that we sent out. Because I mean, if you'd have needed a magnifying glass, for example, to read the back of our old bills, whereas now it's much better laid out. And I think the way forward with regard to the documentation is to have QR codes on everything, really. So even when we send out a reminder, it very clearly takes them to our debt management pages on the website that says, if you don't pay this, then this is the consequence. If you don't pay then you're going to get a summons, you're going to incur further costs at the moment, which are £84. If we go to the next stage and you end up going to our enforcement agents, you're going to have £75 straight away as soon as you get a letter. If they turn up on your doorstep, you're going to get a minimum of £235 on top. So before you know it, a debt of £200 can be £600 without even trying. And that is the challenge for us. And that's why we're constantly saying to people, talk to us. And that's why we've opened up the extra channels, because a lot of people will say, I tried to ring you and you weren't available, or you're not available when I am. You're only open from 9 till 5. I'm at work at 8 in the morning and I don't get home to 6. So as you've recognised, live chat, all these other avenues that we're opening up for people will take them to the place where at least they'll get the basic information, which then gives them the opportunity to come back to us and say, right, okay, I'm at this point. How can I avoid getting further into debt? Because if they're struggling to pay their council tax, the last thing we want them to do is have another £310 bailiff fees on top, which is going to make it even harder for us to collect our money, which then takes time to get through the system to pay for the services. And it's as frustrating for us as it must be for the customers, in a sense, that when they end up with that sort of level of debt for what can be in reality quite a small amount, particularly in Wychavon, where everybody of working age has to pay 20% council tax anyway. And obviously each year the council tax goes up. So 20% when it first started wasn't a great deal of money really in real terms, but nowadays 20% of an average council tax is a lot of money for somebody to find when they're only on universal credit or some other form of benefit, or a very low income with no support from the state on top of that, or us being in a position where we can't give them council tax support because their income is just that little bit too high. So yeah, we're improving the communication all the time to make sure that people are aware of the circumstance. The crazy thing is that some people wait until it gets to the bailiff every year and then they pay it, and you think, well, why? It's like they're happy to use a collection agent and pay them another £75 on top of everything else. You think, why are you doing that? So much easier if you actually spoke to us. So, yeah. Did that answer your question? Sorry.
And just one very small last question as well was, people have their telephone numbers. You're using their telephone numbers to communicate with them. How do you make sure that they're up to date?
That is a major challenge for us, particularly when we had our change of software, three or so years ago when we moved, because a lot of that legacy data dated back to 2013. So what we are still finding is that we do occasionally have an incorrect telephone number that we make contact on. But as soon as we're made aware, we obviously change it. With regard to the way that we're using the technology, what happens at the moment is that if we've got an email address and a mobile address, a number, the email will have one form of information on it. The telephone message will have other information on it, which means that actually from that perspective, the customer can only look at the data and the questions that we're asking or the information that we're holding if they get both forms of information. And the likelihood is that one of those bits of information won't be right. So we're protecting the data with regard to any responsibilities that we might have under GDPR by doing that. We have thought about doing a big purge, haven't we, and using one of these third parties to try and get updated information with mobile phones and email addresses. But there is an expense incurred as part of that. So it's measuring it up against the cost of postage, which we all know because we're all probably going out and buying postage stamps at the moment for our Christmas cards. And you sort of look at it, don't you? Think you buy a book of first class stamps and you think, I've got to take out a mortgage to pay for this. So if you saw what our postage bill, we send about, well, we used to send, we don't anymore, because as Michelle says, we've got 50% hit now, email. But in the past, our postage bill at main billing would be somewhere around about, not just, this is for all three authorities, because obviously Wychavon is about 60,000, but we were looking at £30,000 just for the postage and for our mailing costs. So you can see that's a big part of Michelle's budget, which we're having to speak to Jane and the two other Section 151 officers about. So everything that we possibly can do to get people to move to a more digital form of contact is really important for us. But there is a cost to that, which obviously we have to consider. But ideally, we'd like everybody to be on e-billing.
Well, thank you, Chair. I think I've sort of touched on it really, but I was just thinking on scaling up from the constraints of Civica and now lessening those constraints. And it was just looking at adapting into the future. You've got 78 staff, which presumably you've had to perhaps reallocate sort of different jobs, and that sort of move and the new software, etc. It's 3 years is quite new, isn't it? You've highlighted, that's quite a lot to take on board. So moving forward, you're talking about the e-billing, and that's quite another step, isn't it, as we're going up to sort of the possibility of what is going to happen in the future. I just wondered, is that, a concern that you have in terms of that sort of technological and software sort of systems that you might have to embark upon?
I think from my perspective, and Simon and the teams and Jane's, I think what our way of thinking is that we want to be the best that we can be at this point in time. So anything we do is A, for our resident, but B, for us being prepared for those challenges ahead, that we are one step ahead.
Thank you. I've just one slight question based on your presentation, which was really excellent. Thank you very much. I liked the fact that you had the ability for people to ring you at a predetermined time by your calendar. Is that serviced adequately so that if somebody chooses a time, they can actually speak to somebody? Because obviously some people are digitally challenged in the community, and if you go too far one way, it might be difficult for those people who don't have access to the internet or smartphones to actually get a timely response, you know. So I'm very pleased that you've got that aspect. Is it fully manned?
It is. It's manned at all times. Yeah, it is. And that's why we have got the hybrid model, because we are aware of obviously the differences, which is, again, a stepping stone with emails and SMS and everything else.
Sorry, Chris, didn't see that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I think Julie was actually ahead of me. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was looking the wrong way. Sorry, Julie. If I go to Julie first and then Chris. Thank you.
Yes, Mark touched on this slightly, but I would like a little bit more cover on it, please. You listed risks and mitigations, and the first one you mentioned is digital exclusion. Can you sort of give us a broader picture of what you're doing to try and prevent that happening, please?
I think you want to answer, Simon, but yeah.
We're very aware that there are a group of people who will not be able to contact us digitally. So we keep our telephone outline open every day from 9 to 1. That is a challenge because obviously we get an awful lot of calls, but we do make sure that as part of that process, if people are hanging on, that they're made aware of the other areas that they can make contact through. Obviously, Wychavon has their face-to-face facility as well, here at the Civic Centre and out at Droitwich Library and Evesham Library as well during the week. So it's only one day a week, I know, but they are available at those points in time. But from our perspective, we will certainly I would say up until LGR happens, we will provide a facility for people to speak to us via the telephone if they need to. And the beauty of us being on site, although obviously we do have the availability and facility to be able to work from home, is that there will always be somebody here on site who has the professional knowledge to be able to assist the staff here and also the staff at Evesham or Droitwich if they come through to us. We provide hunt groups which are a backup to the service centre staff if they don't have all the knowledge that they need to be able to answer a query. And those hunt groups are managed by and staffed by staff who are very technical in their knowledge, so they can deal with a more complex query rather than somebody just saying, oh, I haven't had my bill yet, can you tell me when I'm going to get it? So if they've got a complex query about a discount or an exemption or why they've been sent to the bailiffs, for example, then we've got core people always available in the back office where they're working from home or actually here in the building who can support and give the answers and provide the service that people need if they are excluded because they can't use the internet in the way that other people are able to. And we're also working towards, with one of the big things that we've just recently implemented, talking about automation, is that now we have been working in a, I don't like to use the word, but backlog situation where work was outstanding. Now if people actually fill out our online move into the area form, that is processed within 24 hours. So if you fill out our digital form, and I know we're talking about digital exclusion, but actually if you fill out our digital form, within 24 hours you will have your council tax bill now. Whereas in the past it could take 4 to 6 weeks. And that bill, because they've signed up digitally, they will have given us an email address, so that bill will be in their junk mail probably the next day, but they will have their bill that quickly. So we're working all the time to improve the service, even for those who are digitally excluded, as it were, by maintaining that face-to-face and the telephone for contact. But sometimes it does involve perseverance to actually get through to us. But if we wanted to provide a service where we took every call immediately, we wouldn't have 77 FTEs or 77 staff, we'd have to have about 144. So it's a juggling act really, but the phone is there for people if they want to speak to us by that method, Monday to Friday, 9 till 1.
Thank you. Chris, I think you're...
Thank you, Mark. Yeah,
Hopefully the last question, I think, and we'll move on after this. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. I was just wondering, I've had a quick look on my bill, which I get via email, and on it I see, you can, there's a sort of a thing you can scan to pay by direct debit, pay by phone or whatever, which all looks great. But I just wondered, is there any reason why we don't incentivise people to have an email bill? And by incentivise, I don't mean giving them a discount, but just saying if they do sign up, they'll enter a prize draw in much the same way as we do for the resident survey. So I think we could probably legally do something like that.
Have a word with Jane. we did do it once before when we first became a shared service, which is quite a long time ago, 13 years ago. In fact, pre-13 years ago, when we were first a shared service, when we were actually managed by Wychavon at that point in time. And we did, I think we gave away, if people signed up for direct debit, I think we gave away colour tellies, which actually was reasonably successful. But I don't know whether or not we'd probably have to give away a 50-inch colour telly to get people to sign up these days, whereas I think at that point there's probably the most basic 24-inch from Dixon's, but there we go. So we have done it in the past, and it's certainly something worth thinking about, but it's the cost again, isn't it? It's like you could give a discount for people who pay by direct debit, but the problem with that is it's not really fair on people who can't pay by direct debit, and that is the big thing really. It's fairness at the end of the day, isn't it? It's giving everybody the same service really for the same price, rather than saying, well, your council tax has gone up by 20p this year because we gave Joe Bloggs a colour telly because he's signed up to have his bill by email. So that's the challenge really.
If there are no more questions, thank you very much, Simon, for your time and an excellent report, and well done on moving from Civica to in-house and in such a rapid way, and hopefully it goes from strength to strength. Thank you.
We hope so too.
Thank you. Moving on, item number 6 on the agenda is We Are Wychavon 2025-26 Quarter 2 Performance Report. I think Cherry's giving us an update on that, is that correct?
Yes, I can do a brief introduction. So this is the second quarter report of the year. It covers July to September, which feels like, I don't know about you, but quite a long time ago now. But I think this is the first ONS meeting since then, or at least since all the information for the report has come in. So as with normal reports, this is a snapshot of our performance during that 3-month period, not only against our promises, but against, it highlights our service demands and service performance, and also shows progress on our From Good to Great Corporate Peer Challenge Action Plan. So I suppose the headlines are that in terms of our promises, we're on track with all but one of them. One of them is slightly behind time. It's kind of a mixed bag in terms of service demands. Some demands have gone up, some have gone down, some haven't changed very much. And you can see an overview of that on page 5 of the report. I've highlighted some of the successes in terms of our promises throughout it. We have already, Chair, had some questions in advance from some of the member champions, which we have got written responses to. I'm not quite sure if they've been emailed around. They have. Good. Great. So thank you for those questions. There are quite a lot on housing this time and a few others. Jane and I are happy to try and answer any other questions, but we're not an expert on every single thing in the report.
We'll give it a go.
Thanks for the answers. I just wanted to it was my first question really. It's the no new data on most people being overdue. And you said the data is basically it's from other organisations such as the government. What other organisations are you sort of waiting on answers, and why are they not giving you the answers that you need?
So, off the top of my head, a lot of them are from the government or through sort of arm's length parts of the government. And they're things they publish annually, but they don't seem to publish some of them in a timely fashion. So we just have to wait until they're published on the various websites and things, and then we will share them with you. Sometimes there's no indication of why there's a delay, and some of them are quite delayed.
There's sort of no way that we could sort of go back to them and give them was it a phrase, gentle nudge?
I'm not sure a single district council nudging the government to get on and publish data will have a huge impact, to be honest. They tend to be measures which more set the context. They're not about our direct performance, which obviously we get measures on that in a much more timely fashion. So I don't think there is a great deal we can do other than wait and keep an eye on the sources that they come from. And if they can continue to be delayed, you know, for a long period of time, maybe we need to look at excluding them because it's not a lot of use to you and other councillors if, you know, there's big time lapses.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Cartworthy, yes.
Jerry, not to be critical at all, just curiosity. The chart there, or the pie chart that shows of the 27, 26 are green, which is phenomenal. What is amber, and when would you see it coming into green? It's just so that I can identify and know what one that is. Ah.
Bear with me a moment. It's a while since I wrote the report, so it will be indicated in Appendix A. It's the bike hire scheme. Oh, I know exactly why that's amber. This is, I think we've talked about it here before, about something that on paper seems like it should be a relatively easy promise to deliver, which is about setting up bike hire schemes at the 3 stations, has proved inordinately difficult, not for want of trying. So that promise is amber because although the Pershore and Droitwich schemes... Pershaw's done. Breaking news. Pershore's done. And Droitwich is in train. Officers want to monitor how successful they are before embarking on the Evesham one, so we won't have delivered the Evesham one by, I think it's the end of March, isn't it, the timescale on that?
Household waste is amber.
Oh, household waste is also amber. Oh, is my chart wrong?
Yes, I'm reading at my contract and it does.
Oh, that's the measure rather than the promise, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, Chris, I did see you there. So,
I did have a question about planning enforcement. I think in the report, so I'm not expecting an answer, so, but don't worry. But I think last time we were saying, you know, the planning team were doing a good job, got lots of evidence for that. But I think I can't be the only councillor that has quite a few planning enforcement issues in their ward. And I suppose, as I was reading the report, it said that we're short of 1 or 1.5 people, and I wasn't sure how easy it was going to be for us to get those posts filled. You know, query, are we paying enough for it, or should we be paying slightly more? I mean, I think they are tough jobs to do. You know, if you've got to go out and visit gypsy traveller sites and sort of try and demand, you know, what's going on, I don't think it's always an easy task. So that was my main question. And I suppose I wasn't sure when you looked at the data, because we're sort of saying, well, we know how many have opened and we know how many have closed. What we don't know is how long it's taking for them to to be dealt with. I've got, myself, I've got an awful lot that are open, and they're band C, which means that they will be dealt with at some point, but it can take quite a while. So it was just to see if we could get more of an understanding of where we are with that, and whether or not we need to flag up perhaps the need to put more resources behind it if necessary. I mean, my feeling is if enforcement doesn't hold the line, then you open it up for anything to happen in the long run. So thank you.
Chair, I wonder if I can just, in response to that,
Yes.
it might be helpful if we ask Kieran to do the enforcement to do a short paper on where we are in terms of that recruitment, where we sit within across Worcestershire in terms of pay, so we can see. He's absolutely right. It can be a bit of a thankless task, and I know I've seen quite a number of staff. Kind of the churn of the staff in enforcement is quite high.
Yes, I think that's excellent, Jane. I mean, I did make a note of that just then, is to try and actually get something back to ONS on enforcement and staffing levels and retention, because that's a crucial part of the planning process. Besides just the planning officers, it's the actual other side of the coin. So I would request that as well as ONS. Thank you. Councillor Tucker.
Yeah, well, I would reiterate what you've just said, simply because until fairly recently we've had a scrutiny team for enforcement, and I raised this at the last meeting as to whether we should be looking at doing it again, and I think we thought that we would want to leave it for a while to see, but I think depending on what sort of response we get, maybe it is something that we need to look at again.
I'm very happy to actually put that forward, because I think because we are down on enforcement officers, I think it's something we need to have a look at, just to make sure what we can do to try and improve that aspect of our planning services, because they go hand in hand. So I'll see what we can do here. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, but it'd be nice to have an update and to actually assess where we're at. Thank you. Any other questions on item number 6? No? Okay, in that case we'll move swiftly on to the budget 26-27. I understand it is for noting, but there are certain sections that were highlighted to the committee in the agenda. So
Thank you,
Thank
Chair.
you, Jane.
I wasn't going to spend too much time because we've got quite a few members of the budget scrutiny who are
indeed,
sitting,
yes,
sitting
that's
with-
another
in
point
fact,
we
you've
might
got
raise.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Councillor Stokes as well, who are on budget scrutiny. Really, this report is a point in time. It's just to say where we think we are in the current financial year in terms of 25-26, and it gives I'm going to say a flavour, Chair, of where we think we might be for next year, because until we get the settlement in and around the 20th, well, they've said about the 16th, 17th of December, but it may be later, we won't actually know what the impact is to the district council till then. So we are concerned. We're concerned that there's a huge amount of uncertainty. We're not concerned that we will be in a position of having to make significant changes, because, as you know, we were very, very prudent and we put 0 in. We thought we'd just fall off the edge of a cliff, and we know there is transition funding coming through. It's just we don't know how much that is. So the figures will just show a different period of time for the deficits to start kicking in. We thought they'd kick in next year. Clearly they won't. It will be in 1 or 2 years. But until we get the final figures, we're not really sure. So I think budget scrutiny has been going quite well so far. I think some quite in-depth conversations and some really good questions from budget scrutiny. So I wasn't really going to spend any more time on that, because you'll be having the budget scrutiny report in January anyway. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jane. I have a couple of questions, and I understand that there is some degree of overlap between budget scrutiny and this committee. Normally, this committee meets before budget scrutiny, I think, in that respect, and some of the things that are raised here. But because of the LGR, I suspect things have been moved a bit this year. There were a couple of areas on the agenda which were specifically mentioned, one of which was the draft base revenue budget, and that value there. And I looked at that, and I looked at the place, and the budget increased by 60% on last year, and I wondered why that was such a change. I mean, I'm sure budget scrutiny. It would. Let me have a quick look. It is. Let me look. Appendix A, page 71. Yes.
I'll have to go back and look at the details.
I'm just curious. It was it was a big change. And I'm sure budget scrutiny are looking at that potentially, but in terms of where we're at the moment, I don't know.
I'll check that. It will have a very easy explanation, but unfortunately I don't have my budget pack with me.
No, that's right. I just happened to see it tonight. That was all. Yes, I was just curious about that. That was all. And has anybody got any questions based on the budget? If I go to Ada first and then yourself, Emma, thank you.
Well, just a quick one for Jane. I mean, in 211, the business rates pool is being revoked or not formed, I presume. And one of the announcements was that business rate pools would come under mayoral authority. Now, I still think that with the mayor being probably 3 years off, are we convinced that it's not worth forming a pool?
If I can, through you, Chair, because the business rates reset in terms of all of the growth disappearing, that was really where we benefited from, because we got to keep a lot of that growth. We're not going to do that now. So all the 7151 officers, we've looked at it, we've talked about it, and we had some work done by LG Futures, and we all agreed that it really wouldn't be worth having a pool, because in case some of the authorities went into safety net and we'd end up funding that, because they would, just above the safety net, we'd end up funding that as a pool. So we didn't feel that would be wise. So we've left it.
Yeah. And I feel that the position has changed slightly. Because while I understand the point about the reset, and you wouldn't want, you know, if a series of businesses closed in Moon's Moat or whatever took place, and I understand there is some risk in it. But if you don't form a pool in year one, you're not creating the baseline. So the business rates growth that I expect in Worcestershire would still end up with the Treasury, or am I completely talking nonsense?
Well, it will be redistributed. So in terms of if we don't go into the pool, sorry, I was just looking for the emails from LG Futures while you were speaking, sorry, Adrian. So in terms of if we don't go into a pool, it will end up going, yes, to Treasury for them to redistribute how they feel. If we did go into a pool, there wouldn't be very much left there for us to work with. That's what was coming back.
Yes, I mean, I'll get that warm feeling that, yet again, we're subsidising Rochdale.
If I can, Adrian, I'll just mention this. So this is from LG Futures, who do all the business rate modelling, and they've spoken to MHCLG, and they could not see any financial reason to pool, because the risk of being below the baseline is the same as being above, because it wouldn't make any difference, unless you have some material developments planned. And I know we've got Wychavon Town and potential developments there, but we're hoping to look at that slightly differently. And even if an authority is above, with the 10% levy applying for all, 100% of baseline need growth, no authority will exceed this. So unless the reset was postponed, there'd be no reason to pool.
Thank you, Jane. And,
I suppose we can revisit this part of it.
thank you. Emma, Councillor Stokes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to speak. It was just to say that how pleased I am with the quality of questions coming forward in the budget scrutiny. They really are they make sense, and the mechanism with the officers where the questions are asked in writing prior, then their answers are distributed, and those answers are absolutely sublime. We're understanding it. It means that the meetings being chaired by Councillor Tucker are concise and clear and provide a good momentum going forward. So I'd just like to congratulate the overview and scrutiny, or the budget overview and scrutiny going forward, and thank them for their input. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma, and I would echo that as well. And it's an important role, and takes some time and diligence and effort, and we're very appreciative. Thank you. Any more questions for the budget? No? So I think that's for noting, so we'll move on. Thank you, Jane. Moving on to section 8, which is the scrutiny team updates. We'll firstly go to the budget scrutiny review group. And I think, Julie, that's yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, budget scrutiny we've already had 3 meetings, at which we have had an overall look at the budget, and then we've also examined people, and yesterday environment, and our next meeting will be looking at place, and our final meeting will be looking at a report and recommendations. So far, I think, as Councillor Stokes has said, that questions coming in have been very good. Officers have been really helpful and given us full answers and helped us a lot. So I think it's running along very smoothly at the moment, and I hope we can come with a good report in January.
Thank you very much, Julie. And yes, again, thank you very much. My report in terms of the Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee is verbal this time for report in January. We discussed, well, there were 2 items presented. One, neither for discussion but for noting in that respect. One was with the integrated care boards, which combine the statutory organisation of the NHS and care organisations. That's what they're called. And they together improve locally population health and well-being, and perform strategic alliances to prioritise NHS services. Net result of the ICBs is that there's a requirement on average to reduce their costs by 50% by 25-26, so it's within a year. So the back office costs will have to be reduced by about 50% by the end of 25-26. So there's a big cost saving there on average, and that's mostly from the back end office rather than the front facing services. But there's a big cost cutting exercises, and therefore there is the model of clustering of ICBs to minimise back office costs. And there's a proposal in this area to link with Hereford, Worcestershire, Coventry and Warwick. That is a proposal which has been put forward and agreed, and the idea is to align them with the new combined mayoral authorities. What they might look like in the future might affect how the ICBs are clustered, but the aim is to cluster them in mirroring the new combined mayoral authorities. So there's that aspect which is underway and is going ahead. The other aspect that was discussed in the previous meeting was with regard to 2 aspects of neurological conditions, that is Parkinson's and dementia. and how we're trying to improve that locally. It is quite stark that in Worcestershire there are approximately 1,300 living with Parkinson's. And it's estimated that more than 3,000 people are living with dementia. So it is a significant issue nationally and locally. So there's attempts to try and improve their care, keep them in their own accommodation for longer rather than going to hospital care or other forms of care. So there's a lot of support being put in place for those conditions, and there's a bit more focus on those aspects. But there'll be a full report in January on that basis. And as always, there is access to the agenda and documents on the Worcestershire website, if need be. But I'm happy to take any questions on those two aspects if people want any further clarification today. Yes, Emma.
Thanks, Chair. Just so an integrated care board, I wasn't really, I'm not very knowledgeable about it. So they are boards that manage NHS budgets.
Not necessarily. They're linked with the NHS and care organisations. So they're integrated care boards. So they combine the NHS functions of care. So they are a combined statutory body. So they exist, and they don't set all the budgets for the NHS or anything like that, but they integrate care for patients within NHS support. So, and they have to reduce their budgets, and hence they have to cluster, because an average of 50% reduction in overheads is a significant saving within a year. So there are financial constraints that they are under, and hence the clustering aspect that they have to undergo. It is a function of them being forced to save money, essentially.
Do we know yet how that might affect as you say, there's Parkinson's and dementia, these particular aspects of care? Do we know that yet, or will there be some report to ensure that they are not, those provisions are not compromised?
They're definitely not compromised. There's increased activity to try and improve the care of the patients and the families who are living with the conditions of both Parkinson's. There are a number of forms of Parkinson's, but the most, they're all being looked at, and with the support of improving their care of both the families and the patients concerned, to try and keep them where they are more secure in their own accommodation for longer. So there is an active surveillance and intervention to try and improve that aspect. Yes, Adrian. Yeah.
I mean, just to help, I mean, the Integrated Care Board, of course, is made up of the chief execs from the two councils. It has district representation. And then, of course, people such as the MD of the Acute and the Health and Care Trust. So it's quite a complex organisation. And it has a collective budget of just under £1 billion because it is directing the whole of the health service in the two counties across their footprints. So it's quite a powerful organisation. The cynics would say it's a way of formalising the who does what disputes over either the cash or responsibilities.
You're right, Adrian. There is some degree of change in the format and the makeup of that board coming forward, I think, slightly. But it's a slightly immovable makeup and financially movable fees as well. So there is some degree of flux in terms of the membership, and there is some degree of flux as to how they're going to be clustered. They've suggested one way, but it depends on how things like the LGR go as to whether that clustering stays as it is or whether it move slightly. There is some degree of flexibility there. Sorry, any other questions? Oh, sorry, Chris, yes, thank you.
I mean, just on that, the Integrated Care Board change, if we wanted to know more about it or find out what the logic was behind this so-called 50% saving of the back office, which I'm extremely sceptical about, I have to say. I mean, I don't... it seems to me to be, you know, completely unevidenced as to why this would be a good thing to do. I thought the whole idea about the ICBs was that we were trying to put preventative care on a better footing, that we were therefore getting care and acute services to work together. And I think trying to do that across such a massive area without any local input seems a stretch too far to me. Anyhow, I dare say we will save all of 2 shillings and 6, and we will have no idea as to what the impact on the outcomes and the benefit of what we're getting out of doing all of it will be. But the mayor, no doubt, whoever she is in the future, is going to be an extremely busy person if they're doing that, as well as running the bus service and looking after spatial planning. And
Yes, indeed. I mean, if you want the actual reports themselves, which I've got here with me, but they're available on the County Council website in terms of on HOSC aspect. So both the agendas and some of the meeting notes, they run a few meetings behind in terms of the actual outputs, but these documents in terms of the ICBs are available now. So if you'd like to take a look at the number of pages, it doesn't give you much more detail besides what they're doing. But there we are. All right, thank you. Moving on now to item 9, which is the ONS committee work plan. You've all had this. It is quite a large tome, and things obviously move forwards and back. The only thing that is significant coming forward to the next meeting well, they're all significant, but one of particular interest is the Police and Crime Commissioner attending the ONS committee in January. So that'd be a useful meeting. It's taken a bit of time, and it's nice that he's coming to see us. And I think questions have already been raised for him prior to this, but any other comments on the work plan? I think it is, as was previous months and as what will be next month, and as they come through, we try and attend to them where we can. Yes, Angie.
Just want to say that we've obviously got the extra areas of subjects that we could look into, but working on the expertise of Spencer, is there any slots that we have that we could put these into, or are we sort of pretty jam-packed as we are? Sorry.
No, sorry. So you're looking to put something extra into the work plan, is that what you...
We've got the extra areas that you were saying to consider, but I'm saying, are there any spaces that we can reasonably look at to put any of the other your extra items into? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably a conversation you need to maybe have with the chair, Councillor Homer, when he's back, and we could maybe have a meeting and look at the work plan and see what it is that you want to sort of bring in, and see where we can go with it.
Reshuffle things around, perhaps, of importance with regard to the chair when he's back next week.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's nothing significant that's there that I'm thinking we definitely need to do, but it's just a case if there are any gaps that we should be filling, should we be looking at those as well? That was all.
Thank you. Sorry, Chris.
I mean, the one that always strikes me is that we don't cover much, and it's not in the exec board future plan either, is flood resilience and flood avoidance, basically, given where, how frequently that affects Wychavon.
Yes, it's discussed on another committee, I know that. I chair a different committee, and that particular item has been addressed and looked at specifically with Jem Teal, who does a lot of work for flood alleviation, and we're looking at support and local parish councils looking at emergency contingencies. It might not necessarily be flooding for all parish councils. It might be other forms of emergency. It could be power, it could be water, it could be anything. So that is work being undertaken by a different committee. But thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to add to that in that there is a document being prepared at the moment, which is a climate adaptation plan, which obviously will affect flooding. So that probably at some point we could be looking at that once it's up and running. And
yes, I mean, that is on the committee that I chair, so I'm happy to bring that through to ONS. Carbon reduction, yes, it's also on the communities of funding. So, yeah, so I think there are other committees that look at this particular work, and I think we can bring it to ONS at a later date. Adrian, yes, thank you.
On climate adaptation, of course, on the 18th of February, so you've got the Environment Agency coming. I mean, they're down to talk about water quality in the district's rivers. I'm just wondering whether you could expand their remit.
We could look at that with regard to the chair when he's back next week, and potentially look at what the remit is of that particular meeting in February, and whether we can incorporate other aspects of emergency planning for whatever might need. Thank you. Yes, sorry, Angie, yes.
Just talking about the Environment Agency in February, is it worth us inviting the River Avon Action Group member to come along to that? Because they may have some questions that might be useful for us to be a part of.
Possibly, yes. I'll speak to Charlie when he's back and see what is the best course of action in that respect, whether we add other people to it. What we don't necessarily want to do is to try and sort of, depends on what Charlie would need or want, or what the ONS want from the particular meeting. If we can incorporate those other bodies that will enhance that discussion and get further answers, then we'll look at that most definitely. But I'll speak to Charlie on that basis.
Okay, yeah, they would definitely not be somebody that wouldn't enhance it, and they wouldn't. They
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
very,
yeah,
very
so
useful.
I've met them before,
Yeah.
so yes.
Yeah,
thank
he
you.
he would know the person that we're talking about. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I'll make a note of that for him. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Executive Board Forward Plan. We can look at it. They haven't had their Executive Board meeting yet, so and sometimes until they have it, it's hard to know what it's going to be looking like. But Julie.
yes, I was wondering, and maybe Jane or Cherry can advise. We get the forward plan every meeting, and we see these things that are coming up. At what point is it best for us, if we think this is something that we should be looking at what point is it best for us to be able to scrutinise it, or at least overview it? Is it once it's been to Executive Board, or when?
I think through you, Chair, so the first thing is the report has to be ready for ONS or Executive. I think normally here Executive is before ONS, and then often it goes on to full council. So it would be when executive have already considered it. But I think it's important to start flagging up now if there's any that you see now and you go, actually, I think that's really important. One that we need to make sure comes to ONS. We've highlighted that with the individual officers, and so we know then, Mel knows from an executive board point of view, that that is one of the ones you want on your formal agenda, as opposed to just reviewing it as part of exec. Because you'd want the officer there then to be able to explain.
Right, so it would be best for us to, if we have a look at that and then flag it up with the chair, who can then bring it to you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, perfect. It's, again, there's a slight overlap in terms of meeting dates, and it it'd be nice that if things get back to normal a bit in the future from these most difficult period of few months with other things taking precedence. But yeah, okay, so again, if you've got any particular points that you come across that you need to raise with the chair before the exec board, so that points are actually clarified and addressed for ONS, that'd be great. Thank you very much. At the moment, you've got no questions? No. I think that concludes the meeting, I think. If there are any other questions to be raised at this stage? If not, the dates of the next meetings are Wednesday the 14th of January, Wednesday the 18th of February, and Wednesday the 8th of April next year. So those we don't see beforehand, have a good Christmas and New Year. But and thank you for your attendance. And so I'll close the meeting at... Thank you, everybody.